Hello, welcome to Technical Founders. My name is Carlos Lara, software engineer and entrepreneur, and in this video, we'll be examining the phase 3 of the customer discovery process, and this is test and qualify the product concept. So in phase 2, we went out to talk to customers. We asked a lot of questions. We learned about them. We learned everything we could about them, the day in the life, the problems they have, the solutions, everything about them, what they do, what content they consume, etc. So we've learned all of this about who we think is the customer based on our customer hypotheses. And now we are the customer development team. With this knowledge, now we're going to go back to the product development team, and we are going to compare notes, basically. So the product development team built this product with certain features that were supposed to solve a certain problems, what we thought were problems that the customer had, and now the customer development team has learned the truth. Now we are going to basically assess, so were we correct about the assumptions that we made? Were our hypotheses correct? Some of them. Are we prioritizing features based on the problems that the customer said they have? And here's what we are going to revise. And by the way, this is the part A, which is the first company, it's called the first company reality check, because now we know the truth from customers. We are not just on a whiteboard inside the building as engineers, coming up with features and hypothesizing about a customer. Now we've learned the truth. So now it's the reality check. Were we correct? More likely than not, we weren't quite correct. So now we have to revise the product. And then this brings us to part B of this of phase 3, which is the product presentation. Now that we have all this feedback, and now product development and customer development are assessing the situation, now it's time to come up with a product presentation. This is the actual presentation that you are going to give to the potential customers. Now now a little bit more refined from what you know. And this product presentation is not the presentation that you use for fundraising. It's not for pitching. It's not that. It's just the presentation where you say, so this is the problem that we're trying to solve. These are the features. This is the product that solves these problems. And then you both observe the reactions of the customers and then ask questions to make sure, to validate that you are on the right path. And the next part C, is called yet more customer visits, because you have visited customers, right, in phase 2. Now that you have your product presentation, now you're going to go meet with them again, because the first time you did not talk about the product, you only listened. You asked about their problems, you did not mention your product, your solution, you only asked about their problems you learned, and now you have your product presentation. Now it's time to present. And this presentation should be no longer than 20 minutes. It should be a short presentation, just to the point. This is the problem or problems that we're trying to solve, and then watch the reaction. Do they agree? Oh yes, this actually solves a problem. Or do they not get it? Does it make sense? So not just from their reactions, but also you can ask them questions. So does this solve? Do you actually have this problem? From what we know, you do. Does this product solve? Do these features solve the problem? So you are going to learn. Now this is going to be very real here, because you're now telling them about the product, your solution, what you're building your company around, solving this problem. And now your customers are going to tell you the truth at that point. And by their behavior, you can also tell. That's the point where you start getting your very real feedback here for the product. And now. And this was the customer development team that was out with the customers, giving the presentation, the product presentation. Now in part D, second company reality check. So now customer development, after having given the product presentation, after having gotten feedback, agreement, disagreement, after learning from giving the product presentation, now we know, now we're closer to the fundamental truth of whether this is the right product, whether we are building the correct product to solve the right problems, etc. So now product development is going to know whether the features it was building, they actually solve those problems. And again, it's like the first company reality check, except here, now you've actually given the product presentation, you are more detailed, so now you have more information, and you'll know whether to pivot or persevere. If these customers that you talked to turn out that the product doesn't really solve their problems, it's not really, it seems like it's not really fitting with them, you don't have to give up yet. You have to exhaust the market, make sure nobody wants this product, there's no market for the product that you currently have, and then you change. Because it's very easy for customers here when you go visit them with a product presentation, it's very easy, and this happened to me, for them to give you a list of features, like a feature request. They say, oh, if you add these 3 features, we'll buy it, or we will sign up, or whatever. They will tell you that if you add certain features that they want, they will actually become customers. And then the reality is, and I found out the hard way, and everyone finds out that way when they actually do that, is when you add the features, they have new excuses why they're not buying the product, and they don't, so that's like a sign that they may not be the actual customer. So you have to keep looking for a market for your initial version of your product, and once you've exhausted all the possibilities, then now you can have the pivot or persevere meeting. And if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend it on my video on pivots in the Lean Startup series. And then the last part here is first advisory board members. Now there's people that can help you that may not be employees, they may not be investors, they may not be co-founders. It's just other people. Could be people in the industry, like we've talked in another video. Just people that might give you advice, experts that whenever you have a question about the product, the industry, the problem you're solving, etc. Just questions in general. People who could be considered experts, who can be considered advisors, that will give you very, very valuable feedback, support. And it could be mentoring too. These could be mentors, but typically you have experience in what you're doing. But start building your advisory board members. So this will be very important, because as you talk to customers, maybe a customer is not ready to buy, but maybe they can give you advice. Maybe they've been in the industry for a long time. Maybe they wanted to go ahead and buy the product, but the company as a whole didn't. You never know, right? So you need to be on the lookout for advisory board members, people who would be able to provide valuable advice and feedback as you continue along this journey in the customer development process and building a startup. So thank you for watching. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, any thoughts, any comments, please leave them at the bottom. Also, please subscribe so you're the first to be notified when the videos come up. And I'll see you next time.